Miracles.
That's got to be a typo.
Are we sure? We are sure. I've just got confirmation. We are sure this is what he's playing. It's good to have confirmation. Joe, 9-1 with Miracles. No surprise to see him winning with it. Now, this matchup is interesting. Counterbalance plus top is tough.
Yep.
For Lance to beat.
Yes.
But Daryl's been playing Lance for some time. Also, like us in the booth and you at home, Daryl also probably knows what he's up against this round.
Yeah, no surprises.
Which is probably pretty nice and going to influence the hands that he keeps. So really good Lance players against really good Miracles players. The matchup was actually pretty close, so we could be in store for a pretty good one here.
Yeah, and I think Joe's deck might be positioned a little bit better than some other Miracles decks. He likes to play a lot of these creatures. A card like Venser, Shaper Savant, spectacular against 2020s.
He loves Venser. He loves Vendilion Click. He loves Snapcaster Mage. He also has 2 copies of Caracas in the deck.
Yep.
The 2020 that is made from Dark Depths, it is legendary.
Yeah, you can't have multiples of those.
Yeah, so you need to bounce it with Caracas, which you can do.
I like that that's legendary. Like,
I think it's pretty important that that's legendary.
No, I don't think it's important at all. Like, you go through such work to get a 2020 on the board.
A legendary 2020 finally out of its ice.
Yeah.
That's all.
So if you can do it again, like, just let people do it again.
I don't think people should have multiple 2020 indestructibles running around. That's just my opinion.
But I just don't think they can do it. That's my point.
Oh, well, with an attitude like that.
Sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring my bad attitude here.
We got a gamble here for Daryl. He's going to play a Dark Depths. He has not triggered Mana Bond just yet. Dark Depths does have 10 ice counters on it. For Joe, it's a Flooded Strand, it's an island, it's a pass, it's a very slow start. Daryl has played a Wasteland, and now it is Life from the Loam. He'd like to get some lands back. Joe has a Brainstorm. The lands that Daryl is targeting are Maze of the Ith and Wooded Foothills. A couple copies of Force of Will have been found via Brainstorm. 2 cards will go back in just a second.
And Life from the Loam is such a problem because you got to counter it every single turn. He's just going to keep casting it.
Now, fortunately for Joe, Counterbalance is fantastic at that.
Yes.
We'll see if he can find one of those. And he'll figure out what cards he wants to put back with a Brainstorm right now. A lot of the time, I think a lot of people, if you talk to Miracles players, they feel like they're fighting against Lance. If you talk to Lance players, they feel like they're fighting against Miracles. But everyone agrees that it's close.
Yeah.
You're not going to say it's a landslide one way or the other. Here's a Spell Snare.
Yeah, we talked about that one a little bit yesterday.
Yep. Joe having this in the deck, I think, to be a little bit better against Eldrazi. Since it counters Thorn of Amethyst and Chalice on 1, make you a little bit better in the mirror match because it does counterbalance Snapcaster Mage.
Yep.
A lot of people play Spell Pierce in that spot, or for Joe, he used to play a couple of main deck copies of Red Elemental or Pyroblast.
Sure.
At times. Doesn't have the main deck copies of that this weekend. So.
Well, and you see some of these decks play main deck copies of Counterspell.
Also that.
And he's not playing that.
And he has done that before, too. So we head back Lossette's way. He's picked up a Jace the Mind Sculptor. This is the Flooded Strand. We'll go to Daryl. Daryl will dredge a Crop Rotation, a Dark Depths, and let's make it 2 Dark Depths.
Those aren't the best lands to peel off the top.
I've seen better. He would like to target Wooded Foothills, Maze of Ith, and Dark Depths with his Life from the Loam. We'll see if Joe will let this resolve. Joe's going to start by sacrificing a Flooded Strand. I think we might see Basic Plains on the way.
Yeah, Joe's not going to expose himself to a Wasteland here.
Mm-hmm. So there's a Basic Plains for Lossett.
Beautiful, beautiful plains.
That's a word you could use. A descriptor, if you were. Snapcaster Mage, Spell Snare. And it's interesting, right? Because the thought process is, if I use all of my cards so you counter Life from the Loam, eventually I'm going to run out of cards. But Joe, I've seen him do this before. He just wants to make it so that he delays Life from the Loam just long enough.
Yeah, he just needs the time.
And so now he's able to easily cast a Jace, not underneath very much pressure. Jace is very clearly going to resolve. Nothing Daryl can do about it. Now we might see Joe Brainstorm, and we will. So 3 cards will be added to the grip, 2 will go back.
And Daryl has missed a couple of land drops here, so he's really dependent on this Life from the Loam resolving and getting him back into the game and generating some card advantage that way. So Joe just needs to counter this Life from the Loam 3-4 turns in a row, and then he's going to be on his way to victory.
Daryl will dredge 2 Crop Rotations and a Tabernacle. He will target a Wooded Foothills, maybe a Tabernacle and a Maze of the Ith. We'll see if this actually resolves this time. But yeah, here are the targets. Maze of Ith, Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale, and Wooded Foothills with the Life from the Loam. Daryl's hand now has crop rotation and gamble in it. And we'll see if Joe wants to let this resolve.
Yeah, I would guess that Joe's just going to counter this.
Oh.
But I would guess wrong.
Wooded Foothills is what Daryl will sacrifice.
I guess Joe's reasoning, he's just going to sit on those hard counter spells, the Force of Wills, for the cards that really matter.
Yeah, that's the card that takes care of crop rotation. That's the card that takes care of gamble, if Joe deems that worthy of a counter spell. And now here is gamble. That's fine too. Daryl going to get a card, didn't get a great look. And now Daryl will, of course, discard one of these cards at random.
And we can't forget about that mana bond that has been sitting in play but not being used.
Mm-hmm. He's had that from the start. Discards Tabernacle. This is a Beseiju. Aha! So now he actually does use the mana bond, put the rest of the lands on the battlefield, and now the plan is uncounterable loams for the rest of the game via Beseiju. And are you wondering if that's a main deck card? Of course it's a main deck card. Lossett will sacrifice a Scalding Tarn.
And it looks like Daryl's pretty well set up to do the things that he wants to do for the rest of the game.
Well, Loam is now uncounterable. At a cost, obviously.
Yeah, but for a deck playing 34 lands, being able to regrow 3 lands of your choice every turn and put all 3 onto the board via mana bond every turn, this is what the deck's trying to do.
Mm-hmm. There's a Brainstorm from Lossett. See what other neat lands Daryl has in his deck. He has 3 Maze of Ys, 4 Ghost Quarters, 4 Dark Depths, 4 Wasteland, 4 Thespian Stage, a Horizon Canopy, 4 Grove of the Burn Willows to go along with 3 Punishing Fires, a Tabernacle of Pendreville, and heck, even a Glacial Chasm too. And we see the Beseiju already on the battlefield.
Yep.
Joe's got a top. Joe's got a counterbalance. He found those pieces a little bit late.
Yeah.
He has already played a land for the turn, Scalding Tarn. And now Daryl will untap. It's time to dredge Loam again. 3 cards on the way. 1 is a Loam, 2 is a Mox Diamond, 3 is a Maze of Ith. Wasteland going to go after the the Tundra. Daryl going to use the Taiga to recast Life from Loam along with Beseiju. That'll get him a Tabernacle, a Wasteland, and a Wooded Foothills. He'll play a Tabernacle for the turn. There will be a Mana Bond trigger. That'll resolve. Put the Wasteland and the Wooded Foothills on the battlefield. And on the end step, Joe will play a Brainstorm. So 3 cards on the way here from Mr. Lossett. 2 will be going back, and then Joe will untap and take his turn. To note, in Joe's hand, a couple copies of Force of Will. He's got top plus counterbalance assembled. He also has the Jace out there. Snapcaster Mage, which he really can't do very much attacking, as Joe's going to spin the top now. Might leave Terminus on top. But of all of the stuff that Joe's doing, the card I want to point out is Swords to Plowshares.
Yep.
As that is a clean answer to a Dark Depths 2020.
Well, it is and it isn't. At this point, Daryl can just make a 2020 every single turn. Mm-hmm. You know, I think Joe would much rather be putting it on the bottom of his opponent's deck via Terminus.
Sure.
But the broader picture is that it doesn't matter either way what happens here. Daryl's just going to make a 2020 when he decides, you know, he's found the pieces to go that route. Just 2020 this turn. You have an answer? I'll make 2020 next turn. You have an answer? I'll make 2020 the next turn. And if that answer is Swords to Plowshares, he's gaining 20 life every time.
Yep. So that means the fact that he's paying 2 life for something like a Beseiju, not really that big of a deal.
Yeah, not a big deal.
But Joe actually has what I would argue is, outside of the Swords to Plowshares, which is a nice answer, I think he's got his most important card of his deck in play, and that's Jace.
Yes.
Jace is going to let him Brainstorm a bunch, then it's going to start Fate Sealing, and that's actually his win condition typically in this matchup. Yes, he can maybe win games with Entreat the Angels or some of his other creatures, but I think the Jace, actually Fate Sealing, is going to be his best route to victory.
And like you said, the counterbalance top came up just a little bit too late to stop Daryl from doing what he does. Mm-hmm. So now it's just at this interesting point where each player gets to decide to play the game almost independently of what their opponent is doing.
Yeah, which is weird because I feel like it's a pretty interactive matchup.
Yes.
But right now it is kind of two ships passing the night. Joe's going to fate seal himself, put the top card to the bottom. He's going to pass the turn back. So his solitary turn is done. On the end step, Daryl is going to remove an ice counter from Dark Depths. It's the slow route.
Yeah, I like it. It's just a heads-up play. There's nothing to be lost by doing this.
He's been playing lands forever. He is one of the very best lands players on the SCG Tour. One could argue the best one. There are some other fantastic ones out there, like David Long, Jarvis Yu. Now we see a dredge. 1 is a seismic assault. 2 is an exploration. 3 is a molten vortex. He's really good at dredging not lands. Daryl looks like he's going to play a loam, but he's not going to do it with Beseiju this go around.
Yeah, he doesn't care if it gets countered this time.
This time I don't think he cares at all. He didn't dredge anything relevant. Joe's going to spin the top, see if he's got a 2 on there. I believe he does. Snapcaster Mage will take care of the loam. Whatever.
Yeah.
This time loam resolving was not a priority.
Yeah, he's going to wait till he dredges back some lands that he really wants to get back, and then it'll go uncounterable again.
So that's Daryl Ayers' turn. Now we're going to see Joe Lossett's turn as he untaps those 5 lands. He'll draw a card. He is going to fate seal himself. Top card to the bottom. Jace has been used for the turn. Now it's time to ponder.
And I like the pace of play out of both of these players. You know, they're very decisive. They clearly have been here before, and they each have a game plan of how they're going to win this game.
Yeah, for Joe, I know a lot of people kind of comment on his pace of play, but with Miracles, at least for me over the past year, it has not been slow. Some games actually just take a little while to win. A dredging here of Ghost Quarter, Punishing Fire, and Glacial Chasm for Daryl. Now he's going to play an uncounterable loam. He'll get a Ghost Quarter, and a Maze, and a Wooded Foothills. Falls down to 11 to do so. Loam clearly resolves. Those cards are back in the grip. There's Ghost Quarter, trigger Mana Bond. The rest will enter the battlefield. We're not on the Mana Bond trigger just yet, maybe. Okay, the Mana Bond trigger's fine, but we're still in Daryl's end step. Joe's going to spin the top. The one thing that Daryl has not found yet is Thespian Stage.
Yeah.
To be able to make a 2020, sure, he can go the slow route by activating Dark Depths every turn, but he wants to be able to present a 2020 as often as possible. Here's Ghost Quarter.
Well, no Grove of the Burn Willows to potentially rebuy the Punishing Fire, go that route.
Yep. That would be able to check Jace.
Yeah.
A little bit, depending on how he wants to go about doing it.
Well, there's still the top counterbalance to contend with there, but it's just more cards that he could work with.
The one thing that Ghost Quarter is going to do here, so in Joe's deck, 6 basics, 4 islands, 2 plains. You typically think about in Legacy about Wasteland, going up or down basics. You don't really think that Ghost Quarter is going to do very much, but it's a plan.
No, it's a great plan here.
Yeah. It is a plan. Work away a little bit at those basics. In response to a brainstorm, Daryl's going to say, I'll shoot your Flooded Strand. Joe is going to maybe sacrifice Flooded Strand.
I like this. Daryl's turning off the shuffle effect so that Joe can't just shuffle away the really bad dead cards in his hand.
Joe will sacrifice the Flooded Strand. These are 2 masters at their craft. Both these players have been playing each individual deck a very, very long time. At least 2 years. Probably more than that for each of them.
So he sacrifices the Flooded Strand, and he fails to find. He just wants the shuffle so he has some fresh cards to look at.
Now our brainstorm. 3 cards added, 2 will be going back, Snapcaster Mage among them. Now we pass. Ayers will dredge. Grove, Wasteland, Exploration. We're going to use the Beseiju. Fall down to 9 to cast the loam. Get a Grove. Get a Ghost Quarter. Get a Wasteland. They're back, loan to the graveyard, play the Grove, which means that Punishing Fire is online, trigger the Mana Bond, put those other 2 lands on the battlefield. Joe may have some end step effects now that the Mana Bond trigger has resolved.
And we see the longevity of the land stack here, just grinding out its opponent. I'm going to leave you with no permanents in play, just slowly eat you up.
That is almost certainly the plan. Here's Snapcaster Mage. He's going to try to recast the Brainstorm. Daryl says, 1 sec. I might have a response here. Take a look at the graveyard. You see the Punishing Fire down there. Punishing Fire is a nice way to check both the Snapcaster Mage and the Jace.
Yeah, I mean, Daryl already has all those lands that he's pushed forward that don't provide mana in the form of Maze of Ith, Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale. So he's not really worried about the Snapcaster Mage.
Daryl looks like he's going to get back
The Punishing Fire.
Yep.
I expect him to try to go after Jace here.
Yep.
And Joe's had enough.
Huh. Joe doesn't think he's going to be able to. That is interesting.
Well, it's possible that Joe had shuffled away the 2-drop that was on top of his deck.
Okay.
And so he wasn't going to be able to interrupt that Punishing Fire consistently every turn.
Okay.
And so he sees, all right, my Jace is going down. I'm losing a land every single turn. I have no more basics to search
Yeah,
up.
because of Ghost Quarter?
Yeah.
Yep. So eventually he's just going to be landless.
Yeah.
And if he ever searches for a non-basic, Wasteland's obviously going to take care of that. So then he's just going to end up being manaless over the course of time, because it's going to take a little bit.
Yeah.
But given that Joe thinks that that's going to be the conclusion of this,
Yeah.
it's just best to concede.
Yeah,
right?
why drag it out for another 4, 5, 6 turns? The games are going to go long anyway. Save that extra time when the writing's on the wall.
That's exactly what he did. Daryl Ayers going to win game number 1 here over Joe Lossett. Lands up a game over Miracles. Is it any accident this guy's 10-0?
He looked really good there.
He knew exactly what he was trying to accomplish at every single stage
Yep.
of that game. Didn't even have to think twice about it.
It looked a little bumpy for him there when the Life from Loam was countered a couple of times, but he searched up the Boseiju. He had tons of time because the Miracles deck doesn't put pressure on anyone, and just ground out his opponent.
That's exactly what he did. We're going to take a look at Joe's sideboard to start with 3 Flusterstorms, 2 Red Elemental Blast, 2 Back to Basics, 2 Moat, 2 Surgical Extraction, a Pyroblast, a Wear Tear, a Kozak's Return, and Engineered Explosives. What do we like here and why?
There's some really interesting cards here. The double Back to Basics are obviously just spectacular in this matchup. The double Surgical Extraction are going to be great ones. Even something like the Engineered Explosives might come in to take care of Exploration and Mana Bond. So lots of cards for him.
For Daryl Ayers, he's got 4 Crows in Grip, which can take care of Counterbalance and Sensei's Divining Top, 4 Tireless Tracker, 4 Chalice of the Void, an Ancient Grudge, a Molten Vortex, and a Bojuka Bog. What do we like here for Daryl?
You know, I'm not super familiar with the land stack. Like you said, the Crows and Grips are almost definitely coming in. These others, I'm not sure what, like Chalice of the Void seems pretty good against the deck sporting so many 1-drops, but this might not be the specific matchup that he wants it for.
Yeah, so Chalice is interesting because there are a lot of 1-drops in Joe's deck, like you mentioned. Swords, Brainstorm Ponder, top.
Yeah.
And maybe some other cards up for sideboard, depending on how Joe wants to sideboard. But Daryl also had some 1-mana spells that were relevant for him.
Yeah, Gamble, Exploration.
Mana Bond played a role in things. Yeah, Crop Rotation.
Crop Rope, yep.
So I don't know if that comes in. I also don't know about a card like Molten Vortex, which is also a 1-mana spell too.
Yeah.
So this will be interesting to see kind of what route he wants to go. Like he's already shuffling and sideboarded, so he knows.
Sure, even a card like Tireless Tracker where he can just generate so much card advantage in a match that's definitely going long.
Yep.
Maybe he wants a couple of those. Well, maybe he wants all of them. I don't know.
We are going to find out here in just a moment. Game number 2 going to be underway in just a sec. But let's talk about the feature match area here with SCG Live, which you can join right now. We'll be letting you guys decide the quarterfinals at the conclusion of the Swiss rounds a couple hours from now. So feel free to sign up there. Custom emoticons and badges to be used, and it's only $4.99 a month. Twitch.tv/SCG Live is where you're watching this, so we want to thank you for your viewership, and you can join the feature match area today, or you can just chat away, have some fun, but we ask that you do be friendly to the other people that are watching the broadcast and chatting along with you. And now we learn a little bit more about Mr. Ayers, the man in the orange hoodie and the orange shirt. Apparently he likes orange a lot. This photo is old. I swear this is not a photo from this tournament.
Yeah, this wasn't taken just now.
It was not taken just now. From the 23-year-old from Virginia Beach. with 4 open top 8s. 1 open win took place 2 years ago in Philadelphia, a Legacy Open he won with Teamer Delver, with main deck Kurt Apes beat Ross Merriam in the finals. His first name is actually Steven, but he goes by Daryl, and yes, he does have a personalized license plate that reads Goulet.
Goulet.
Goulet. That is Daryl Ayers. He's currently up a game against Joe Lossett, who's looking to get back to the Players' Championship. He's going to have to tie things up here if he wants to do that. Looks like Joe's going to keep, Daryl's going to keep. We're underway. Joe starts things off with an island. For Daryl, he's got a Mox Diamond. He's going to start there. Looks like it's going to resolve. Grove of the Burn Willows, that's gone. That's being staged. Chalice of the Void on 1. Well, that answers that question.
There we go.
Here's a Brainstorm for Joe. Like you, I wasn't sure.
Well, if he sided in these chalices, I expect him to have brought in the tireless trackers and the grips.
Okay.
And then he's taken out a lot of the 1-drops from his deck.
Here's Counterbalance. You can see the bottom card of Joe's deck is a Back to Basics. So Joe has brought that in. We
of course
felt that was going to come in. Pretty obvious there. For Daryl, with the Chalice on 1 on the battlefield.
It looks like a tireless tracker in his hand as well.
Okay. Tireless tracker, not just for standard anymore. How does he want to move forward? He's got a Life in the Loam in hand too, I think. There's a Mox. No trigger of Counterbalance by Joe. A little surprised by that. Here's Tireless Tracker. Trigger. Huh.
Ugh.
A little surprised.
Yeah, I think he just didn't realize.
Yeah. Missed the trigger for the Mox. Maybe he didn't want to reveal, didn't care. Joe typically doesn't miss Counterbalance triggers.
Sure. Probably just a small mistake there.
Yeah. Here's a Dark Depths. 2 clues here. 10 counters on Dark Depths, and yep, happy to attack with Tireless Tracker. I think we're going to see a Vendilion Click. We will. That's going to resolve. Mox Diamond is the card here in Ayers' hand.
Yeah, keep it.
Are you sure? What a nice guy. Does Joe want to block with the click? Looks like the answer might be yes. Now, Daryl does have the ability to sacrifice 1 clue. Do not think he has the ability to sacrifice 2, but it looks like Joe doesn't want to block. So, damage pass.
Okay, so yeah, we had a question of if Boseiju could be used
For regular mana, which it can. So, yeah, he could sacrifice both clues. So, no block is even better now for Joe.
Yeah, the Vendilion Click would have just been on chump duty there. And he's no chump.
Flooded Strand will be sacrificed here by Joe. He's going to fall down to 15. There's a Plains.
How good does this Tireless Tracker look?
Well, assuming that Joe's on removal spell realistically is Swords,
Yeah.
that looks really good. Now here's a Jace. It's going to bounce there. Pass a turn back. Daryl will present 2020 maybe? Not yet. Okay, never mind. He's just going to sacrifice clues. He's in no rush.
Yeah, Joe left the click back in case Daryl went the 2020 route.
Yep. Now Daryl will slide the Dark Depths forward as though Joe can't see it. Joe keenly aware that exists. Just in case you forgot.
No, I think he just does a good job of organizing his lands in a way where the ones that don't provide mana or are not very relevant end up in the red zone.
Might be Tireless Tracker time again. Yeah. Trigger. Brainstorm. Foothills will bring a clue.
Yeah, and when the Foothills fetches, it'll bring another clue.
Yeah. Here's a Mox. Discard Wasteland. No targets for that right now. And we'll see if he wants to sacrifice the Foothills now or not. The last card right now in Ayers' hand is a Molten Vortex,
Yep.
which his own Chalice would counter. Also, the counterbalance on 1 would counter. So that's not a thing right now. Joe will brainstorm with his Jace. Looks like Lossett's in bad shape this game.
Yeah, it does. The Chalice for 1 is just so backbreaking against a lot of decks. It hamstrings all of his answers for that Tireless Tracker. Daryl has another good setup. He has so many lands at his disposal. With the Mox Diamonds, generating cards every turn through the clues. He's just doing it all.
Wooded Foothills is going to get a forest, but maybe more importantly, going to bring along another clue. Daryl wants to make sure all of his cards are the right way really quickly.
The way he was shuffling, it looked like he might have split a sleeve there. Yeah.
Yep, he did.
Yep. We all know that one.
Yep.
So frustrating.
It's not a good feel.
Well, and it's even worse in Legacy because you really don't want to ding up the side of one of your expensive cards.
That's true. It was a Dark Depths, too. That's not a cheapie.
Yeah, that's only $50.
Yeah.
Come on.
Let's see. Looks like he's going to sacrifice a clue here.
Yep.
I always find it really awesome when newer cards work their way into older formats.
It looks so out of place.
It really does.
But obviously, I mean, just watching it this game, it's doing everything.
Tireless Tracker is a card that Joe had to bounce with Jace. It's back. It's generating card advantage. Like, it's doing everything that Daryl, I think, would want it to do.
Well, and in the land stack, when they're over half of his deck is lands, he's not going to be missing land drops.
Mm-hmm. All right, crack a clue. Draw a card. All right, here comes Tireless Tracker. Vanillion Click cannot block fast enough. And pass.
Yeah, we got Chase there just talking to us. But save me.
Yeah. Click. All 3 of you.
Come on.
Yeah. Bite the dust, please. Thank you.
I'm so much better than you are.
Yeah, right now, that's for sure. Back to Lossett we're going to go. Brainstorm, huh?
That's a good one.
Typically. He'll brainstorm with Chase. 3 cards coming. 2 will be going back. A lot of 1s in that hand, I think. I think he may have just found a back to basics, but even back to basics isn't very good right now.
The triple Mox Diamond, it's just everything has conspired against Joe this game. This has really just panned out poorly for him.
Maybe this match.
Yeah. Like you said, almost everyone agrees that this is close. It has not looked close either of these games.
No, it hasn't. No, it has not. Scalding Tarn. And Joe's, I think, trying to figure out how he's supposed to work himself out of this situation. Is back to basics even an option now? Because this entire time, we cannot forget, Daryl has just been sitting here saying, I can make a 2020 whenever I want to, just so that you know. And that is going to do it. Joe is beat. Daryl Ayers is going to win this match pretty easily. 2-0 over Joe Lossett. Lands, destroys Miracles. Daryl Ayers, he's 1 match win away from making top 8 of this tournament. This has been a dominant display.